If you're completely unfamiliar, AMAB stands for assigned male at birth, and AFAB stands for assigned female at birth. And both of these terms can be used in a wide variety of ways by a wide variety of people. Probably unsurprising, right? That's how most language is. I believe that the terms AMAB and AFAB came from intersex advocacy and intersex communities writ large. So the point, right, of AFAB and AMAB as terminology is to recognize that sex is something assigned at birth in a relatively arbitrary way, and to recognize and point out, like, this is silly, and the sex that is assigned to us at birth is not always accurate. Intersex people exist, a wide variety of intersex conditions that do or do not impact an infant's genitals can impact the sex they are assigned at birth. The sex that someone is assigned at birth is not always aligned with their gender identity, etc., 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 right? So from my understanding, the language itself of AMAB and AFAB exists to critique these systems. But the way that people use the terms AMAB and AFAB today often just reinforce arbitrary gendering of children and of people, and it makes zero sense to me. It truly just confuses me, I think, is the main thing that I want to get across here. One of the most evil, in my opinion, is in public health contexts where it's completely unnecessary and or inaccurate. If, for example, you are posting a reminder, you're telling people, hey, don't forget that you should do like self-checks on your chest if you have breast tissue. But what I said was specific, right? What I said is, if you have breast tissue, you should be doing self-exams on your breast tissue. But what I've seen a lot of people say is, if you're AFAB, do it. Another super common example is like, AFABs, don't forget to get your pap smears. When not all people who have cervixes are assigned female at birth, and not all people who are assigned female at birth have cervixes. Whether that is through surgical removal or because some AFAB people simply don't have the same internal anatomy that other AFAB people do, that's just how human variation works. It's normal. It's just a bizarre usage of the phrase that doesn't do anything productive. It's not useful to use AFAB or AMAB as categorizations for what type of healthcare someone needs, because that is still individual specific. If you're saying AFAB people need to get breast exams, that doesn't apply to all AFAB people, and it does apply to some AMAB people. I feel like it should be a common, normal human goal for health messaging in general to be the most accurate as possible. Because there are AFAB people who have penises, and there are AMAB people who don't. Again, just like the medical thing, like if you're trying to be specific for any sort of justified reason, just be specific, because when you use language like AMAB and AFAB, you are just reproducing these false dichotomies and useless binaries that we're trying to get rid of, while excluding people who you may not be trying to exclude, but you definitely are. I think a lot of people in general just need to think more about the types of language that they're using instead of just using it. Another perhaps interesting reflection I have on this topic specifically, among the plethora of posts I've seen by transmasculine people or non-binary people saying AFABs only, I have never once seen a trans woman say AMABs only. Never once. I've never seen a trans feminine non-binary person say, come live with me, AMABs only. I think that says something, not about trans women, but about trans men, and how we need to get our shit together. Because I'm sorry, but if there is a noticeable trend where a lot of AFAB non-binary or AFAB trans people are purposefully excluding AMAB people from their houses, from their parties, from their spaces, whatever, like, that's a problem. And if you don't see that as a problem, we are not in the same queer community, okay? Another reason that I struggle with this, that I don't understand this, I think, is that the language of AMAB and AFAB hurts trans masculine people too, hurts AFABs too, in a plethora of ways, right? You may have seen the language of like they fab, which makes fun of specifically non-binary people that are assigned female at birth. There's tons of ways that the AFAB label has been hurled against transmasculine people, and there's certainly